Today was not going well. Hearing my former fated mate had disobeyed what she had been ordered by going to another pack for an interview infuriates me. Her brother needs to get her under better control. Well, both her brother and her father. But this is what happens when a she-wolf is allowed too much freedom, too much access to education. She learns too much. She thinks she is above all others. Well, not in my pack she wasn't, nor would she ever be. I would not permit her to work for another alpha. That girl would forever belong to this pack. So she knew her place. I may have rejected her, but she was the mate the moon goddess had blessed me with, and I did not know if her going somewhere else would make me weaker. When she was away at university, I did not feel the same. I felt less strong, though at that time, I had not rejected her and my wolf pined for her, the pathetic fucker. He would whimper and whine for his mate, beg for me to bring her home. Why he would want that pathetic excuse for a she-wolf, I do not know. Even when she came home having undertaken something of a makeover. Less of a wallflower, more of a showstopper at first glance. But underneath it all, she was still Bailey West. The pack geek that did nothing but irritate the fuck out of me. But I had told nobody of our predicament. Why would I share that she was my mate? She was an embarrassment, forever a laughingstock of our pack. So I had nobody to gain advice from. And all the books I had scanned through within the pack library had not brought me the answers I needed about whether her presence or lack of it, within the pack, rejected or not, would make me weaker. I was going to be the next alpha. I could not risk being weak. I needed to be the strongest I could be, or I would be the laughingstock of the region, of all the other alphas. So I told her she must stay here, because with nobody to turn to for advice to learn if her being absent would make me weaker, I had no other option. When my brother discovered the truth, I hoped he might provide some enlightenment, but he was as much use as a chocolate teapot, and spent more time laughing at the mess I was in. He knew as little as me, so I was no better off. So, as much as I despised the stupid bitch, she had to stay. I could make her suffer, make her feel the pain as I found conquests to enjoy, while she slowly went crazy through rejection and her lack of purpose, with no role within our pack, and no potential for a job outside of the pack. I would make her suffer forever thinking she was better than me. I glanced at the warrior as he walked away, before darkly looking at Bailey. See what you have done now? Another fucking person knows about this shit? I snap. She widens her big brown eyes at me almost innocently. I think it was you that was yelling, Miles. I growled in anger. I don't understand her. Out of all the people in pack, she seemed to be the only one who thought it acceptable to answer me back with disregard for my rank. She infuriated me. Though since she returned from her studies, she was a lot more pleasant to look at than she ever had been before. Not that it was relevant. Do not go there, Bailey, you stupid bitch. And I will say again, that job you went for the interview for is not happening. You belong here. This is your pack. I will be your alpha soon enough. You will answer to me and no other. I dictate, because I know that I need her here to ensure my strength. She was my fated mate, or had been until I rejected her. The fated mate brings strength to their significant other's wolf. I would not risk that. Not for anything. She would have to suffer. So you keep saying. She rolled her eyes, and I felt anger rippling under my skin. I needed to get away from her, before I knocked her flying. I have been taught not to hit a woman. But this one, well, she pushed those boundaries and certainly tested my control. Besides, I needed to speak to that warrior, Harley. I think Bailey called him. I shook my head at her and walked away. Harley? Are you free to talk? I mind link as I move away from the psycho bitch. I truly did not need this today. My head was battered as it was. Seeing your best friend find his fated mate was not the easiest thing in the world. I don't think it would ever have bothered me if I had not been through what I had with Bailey. If I had been blessed with the fated mate I deserved, then seeing your friend meet his fated would be a good thing. But instead it filled me with rage. Rage and envy, especially when she was a stunner. She-wolf to be proud of. Like a fucking beauty queen. Curves in all the right places. A seriously amazing personality too. How is it that Jordan has fate bless him like that? Yet I get lumbered with his fucking sister. Something seemed to be wrong somewhere. It truly did. But seeing Jordan meet this new mate of his, Gia, when she was visiting with some training warriors, was like something out of a fucking romance chick flick. Quite sickening. And Jordan now was all puppy dog-eyed over her. And it just made me realize how much I have missed out on by being fated to Bailey. It makes me hate her even more. Sure, Alpha, what is up? Harley responded. I think he likely knew what was wrong. He had overheard a private conversation that was not for the ears of the pack. But if he wanted to go down that path, then we would do that. I just wanted to discuss what you overheard. I told him via our link, as I had lost sight of him while arguing with Bailey. That Bailey was your fated mate? He replies, and I feel my temper rippling. Did he not believe the things I told him? I saw the way he looked at her. He didn't look impressed with her, though I had not realized he and her were that close. Jordan had mentioned there was a warrior sniffing around. Not that I cared, of course. But he looked hurt by my revelations, so I assumed he had taken what I said at face value and believed me. She believed she was. I never felt that connection. I repeat my lie from earlier. I don't think you can have one-sided bonds, Alpha, Harley argues, taking me by surprise. This is some random warrior, and he is questioning my view on something? How fucking dare he? Are you saying I am lying? I snarled through the link, feeling my wolf, Jet, beginning to push forward, desperate to go and punish this fucker. I was his alpha. Or would be soon enough. Well, you seem to be saying Bailey is lying. He came back. The blood pumping through my body feels like it is racing right now. My head hurts. My jaw clenched so tight. Bailey lies a lot. I'm surprised you haven't worked that out if you spend so much time with her. I counteract, giving him something to think about. I imagine he won't think so highly of her if he believes that. Now, where are you? At my training session, he says, knowing damn well I can hardly go, and confront him in front of a crowd of warriors and the pack Gamma. And then I'm going to see your father. His words register in my mind. Why the fuck did he plan to talk to my father? If he thought for 1 second he was going to expose any of this shit, then he had another think coming. I would kill him before that happened. I strolled through the rest of the pack while trying not to think of Miles. He was nothing if not persistent. I could think of no reason why he kept me here, other than the fact he gained some sick pleasure from seeing me suffer. And the way he has changed in recent years, I would not be surprised if he had turned into some sort of masochist. I hated that things between Harley and I were likely now ruined. The way he had looked at me had hurt. He had believed the words coming from his upcoming alpha. But then who wouldn't? He was the next alpha. Most, if not all, would believe him. Why would they doubt him? He was the golden child of the pack. Hey. Little did they know the only thing golden about him was the reflection of his glowing satanic eyes. I knew I had been naive to think there could be anything between Harley and I. Harley had a fated mate out there. He would have believed I did too. Obviously, I knew better. But I have been enjoying our time together. He made me feel good. And perhaps, stupidly, a tiny part of me had considered that if things continued, then a chosen Matabond one day could be something to contemplate. Couldn't it? A chosen mate bond is sometimes thought to be stronger than a fated one, because it is one that is chosen. Your heart and soul pick it. The connection is already there before the bond is created. Not that it would even matter. We had barely been seeing one another. We have been on a few dates, and he had taken the word of Miles over me anyway. My eyes drifted to the warrior training field as I walked past toward my home. I could see them working hard under the rays of the sunshine. Some in human form, some shifted into their wolf form. Rather them than me in this heat, that is for sure. Bailey, I heard Harley's voice as I continued walking, and turned around to find him jogging across the field, and he suddenly leans on the wall, separating the field and the path. I was so unsure of what to say, so I simply smiled in greeting. He looked a little sweaty after training, and no doubt the run from the training field. He was wearing training shorts and his chest was bare, revealing his toned chest and upper arms. I did my best to avert my gaze from his body, which I have to say was quite difficult when there was quite a lot to admire. You can definitely see why he was a warrior. Having fun thereby? Harley's voice was light and playful, which took me by surprise considering the way he had walked away from me earlier. I met his gaze with a frown. I am sorry about earlier. Not that it likely means much, but why didn't you tell me? He questions, and I can sense irritation in his voice, despite the fact he is trying hard to stay calm. He told me nobody could know. I whispered, avoiding his gaze. How long have you known? Harley tilts his head to look at me curiously, and I can see his mind working overtime. Bailey, you and he have known each other forever. Was this since he first shifted? Miles had sworn me to secrecy, never to say a word to anybody. Yet, here I was being confronted by someone who had worked it all out because of Miles yelling at me. Would that be considered my fault? I don't know what to do. I just looked at Harley, my eyes meeting his as I chewed my lip nervously. I will take that as a yes, Harley says with a sigh. All that time and you have not said a word? He has dated since then too, not to mention all the times he slept around. You have had to suffer the pain of him cheating? I shrugged. My own family had barely noticed. I became good at hiding it, feigning injuries or illness, anything to cover up what was truly happening, anything to stop the truth being revealed. Because I was terrified of what Miles would be capable of if the truth was revealed. The first time it happened, I was terrified and genuinely thought I was dying. Until I realized what it was. I didn't even have my wolf at that point either. I cried myself to sleep, but I lied to my mom and said I wasn't feeling too good. Put my TV on loud to cover up my cries of pain, until I dropped off in sobs of pain. It was only a year, I whispered. He decided to reject me then. A year of making you suffer, though, Bailey, Harley growled. And he still treats you like shit. He has done for as long as I can remember. It is better not to get involved, Harley, I whispered. He could make your life hell. Not if I go to his dad. He won't. My heart felt like it fell through the floor at those words. No, that cannot happen. Uncle Marshall cannot know. Nobody else can know now. No. Miles would go on a fucking rampage. Harley, no. I begged. Please, do not do that. Harley simply frowns. He needs to be made to pay for what he has done, Bailey. I am fine with it. It doesn't matter. Don't get yourself involved, or he could come after you. There is no reason for you to be doing that to yourself over this, I told him, looking at him with fear. I care for you. Isn't that reason enough? Harley reached for my hand, and I could feel butterflies in my belly, though they are far from pleasant when added to the heavy churning of nerves that is already residing there. Miles is a fucking idiot for not seeing how lucky he is for being blessed with you as a fated mate. Why the fuck would he reject you? It doesn't matter. I am not Luna material. Not the sort of woman he or most guys want. I get that. Having your head stuck in a book isn't appealing. But, please, Harley, do not get yourself involved. I removed my hand from his, suddenly aware of many of the warriors on the training field watching us in curiosity. Trust me, you are the type of woman most guys would be proud to call theirs. And having your head in a book is irrelevant. Bye. Maybe it is to Miles, because your intelligence intimidates him, because he is as thick as two short planks. But a decent guy would see your intelligence, again, as something to be proud of. I think it is fucking awesome you got your degree. And if Miles was any proper sort of man, he would too. Harley says with a smile, and I feel my heart fluttering. Why couldn't the moon goddess have blessed me with someone like Harley for a mate? He was incredibly sweet and saw the positives in my strengths. Difference is Harley. He is the alpha. And he had made his choice. So we have to go with that. So please do not make this harder than it is. I begged him, and he rolled his eyes. Fine. But you should know I don't agree with it, Bailey. It is for you I am keeping quiet, not him. At least tell me your interview went well. I sighed. It went really well. That's my girl. Harley grinned proudly at me. I knew you would smash it. So, when do you start? I slowly shook my head. I can't. His face changed in an instant. This is him again, isn't it? I avoided his gaze as I spoke. It isn't that simple, Harley. You are a fucking fool, Bailey, he says, before turning away to walk to the training field. Again, intensely aware of the many warriors glancing in our direction. I did not want to call his name to try to get him to come back, so I went for mind link instead. Harley, please, try to understand. He scares me. Well, why do you think I am saying his dad needs to know? He responds, but he doesn't turn back. He continues to walk toward his training session. So I assume our talk was over. He has told me if I do anything, he will make me regret it. Making me lose my degree was one threat. The other threats have been he would find ways to make me regret my decisions. I dare not think what he could do. Harley, you all see him as the wonderful upcoming alpha. I have seen him as a lot worse, trust me. I can't tell you it all. Please take my word. I tried to find a way to stay away after my degree, but he wouldn't allow it. And now it seems he won't allow this job either. He said I belong to the pack. I blurt through the link, not sure why I was telling Harley everything. Because I know if someone else knew, then he could do something. He could well confront Miles, and I would be in serious trouble. Shit, Bay. You need to get away. I know, but every time I try, he blocks it. My only way out would be a mate, but as you know, that won't happen because he was my mate. I told him, what if I took you as a chosen mate? He suggests, and my heart feels like it is going to burst from my chest. Butterflies flutter through my tummy while goosebumps spread over my skin. Did he really just suggest that? You don't need to do that. I tell him, though the idea sounds amazing, I am being serious. I think you are awesome. I think we make a fucking amazing couple. I could request a move to my mum's pack to be a warrior there, and you could come with me. Get you away from him. My heart soars at his suggestion. That would be truly amazing. I had the possibility of getting away. You would do all of that for me? I can barely link, and even my wolf, Akira, is almost purring at the man she had begun to become fond of. Well, it would kind of benefit me too. He teases. I would get to call the most beautiful, geeky girl alive my mate. What do you say? I say, I think you are amazing. I will call around to yours once I am done with training, and we can discuss it all properly. But I can't wait to make all of that official baby doll. He links playfully, making me giggle. Me either, right? I best get back to training, or I am going to get an ass whooping. Start thinking of all the things you want as a couple beautiful, because I plan to make sure you are forever walking around with the biggest smile on your face. Harley tells me before cutting the link, leaving me walking the remainder of the way home with the biggest smile on my face. Could the sweetest guy in pack have found me a solution? And I think he would likely support me in working too. He was truly the best. I approached the house with a content feeling in my chest. Harley could be my savior. Yes, I was disappointed about this teaching role, but perhaps I could look for one closer to his mum's former pack he planned to move us to. Wow, a chosen mate. A handsome warrior, too. One that actually liked the fact I had gained my degree. Taking him as a chosen mate is okay, isn't it? I asked Akira. Fated mate not want us. He reject us. This mate does want us. Akira almost purrs as she replies. I think it is safe to say she was just as content. I had felt her becoming fond of Harley as we spent time together. She had always previously been against building close bonds with other male wolves, in the hope Miles would want us back. But once he rejected us, it had hurt her massively. The pain it caused her nearly tore her down. But we have got there in the end. Hopefully, Harley can be the thing that fixes us. A savior in so many ways. A fresh start, Akira, I told her excitedly. If he lets us go, of course. She snarls, like she expects a fallout. We just don't tell him until the last moment. I told her. If Harley had marked me, I could go with him, and there would be nothing Miles could do about it. Because a mate goes with her mate, and that was the procedure. I don't think even the alpha would argue with that. And would he really want me around if I had been marked and mated by another? I pushed open the front door to the house and relished the peace that enveloped me. Not to mention the cool. Everyone loves the sunshine when it arrives, but I have to say I am more a cooler weather person. Glad to be in and out of the scorching sunshine. I dropped my keys on top of the drawers by the door, before moving through to the kitchen in hopes of making myself a coffee. Only as I am sorting the coffee machine do I hear movement behind me, causing me to quickly turn around. I hadn't realized there was anybody home. Jordan, my older brother, was leaning on the doorway of the kitchen, watching me with a dark expression. Of all the people it could be, it had to be him. Hear you been causing issues, he says coldly. I rolled my eyes. Jordan, please, can we leave this? It has been a long day so far, and it isn't even over yet. Trust me, I have places I would rather be, and people I would rather be with. But no, I want to ask you this. Besides, you found time to chat to the warrior boy, though, he questions, and I can't help but wonder how the hell he knew I had been speaking to Harley. I can only assume Miles had told him of the confrontation when I was walking back earlier. It seemed these two were connected by a speed dial when it came to exchanging even the slightest piece of gossip or information. Harley and I are friends. Of course, I will speak to him if I see him, I argued, feeling the need to defend myself like I so often did with my brother, who seemed to see negatives in everything I did. Don't think your fated mate would appreciate it, thinking you are warring yourself out to some random warrior, my brother said with a sneer. Who would have thought that of the class nerd? I rolled my eyes. I have had just about enough of this now. My brother has turned into a top-tier knobhead, all through spending too much time with Miles. When the pair of them became alpha and beta, this pack stood no hope. I was glad Harley had given me the opportunity to get away. I am warring myself out to nobody. You should have better respect for your sister, I hiss. Though the way he seems to have you trained up to do his bullying and dirty work, I'd say it is you that is warring yourself out to Miles, I snarled, not caring now that my words are below the belt. My brother seems to think it is acceptable for him to speak as he chooses to me, so I will return the favor to him. The look of fury upon Jordan's face is a picture. "What did you just say?" he demanded. "Sorry, did I use words that were too big for you?" I asked sarcastically, going to move past him, having lost the desire for my coffee and just wanting to get away from my brother. But instead, he puts his arm up to block my path. "I don't believe I was done with you yet." I raised my eyes to meet his. Dark brown eyes, full of anger, all aimed at me, his younger sister. "So much for looking out for your family." No. This delightful brother of mine is too dedicated to his best friend and upcoming alpha. Yet he doesn't even know the stuff he had done. "Jordan, I haven't done anything, okay? I went for an interview, which you chose to run to Miles about. He went crazy about it and has been making threats about since," I said angrily. "There, that is the shit you are implying." Though I imagine Miles the Muppet said it was something a whole lot worse to make me look like I was in the wrong. "Don't try to get clever. It doesn't suit you." "Well, it sure as hell doesn't suit you, big bro. Because you believe whatever bullshit your numbskull of a friend tells you," I said with a shake of my head, beginning to wonder why my brother was even here at this time of day. He should be out working. I had assumed I would be safe coming home now. He was always out at this time. When is it going to hit home that Miles and I are going to be your next alpha and beta? You need to start learning to show us respect. I owe him my loyalty. So, yeah, you come way down that line, I am afraid. You betrayed your pack today by going behind their back," he snarled, lowering his face almost next to mine, his eyes glowering at me. "Fucking hell, Jordan. It was a job interview. I wasn't planning nuclear war. Maybe you want to ask yourself why that big, bad friend of yours is so desperate to keep me here in his pack," I said, leaning back against the kitchen counter, my arms crossed aggressively, finally having given up with trying to hide the truth. If Jordan knows, he fucking knows. Miles would have to deal with it. Because then, perhaps Jordan may have a little understanding. Jordan's head tilts momentarily as he considers my words. "What the fuck does that mean?" he demands. I shrug. Well, other pack members are permitted to work out of the pack. Some even work away. Yet Miles will not allow that for me, will he? Ever questioned why? I raised my brows at my brother, and I saw a scowl cross his face. Miles always said you had a thing for him. I told him he was off his fucking head. But he is right, isn't he? You want him. Is that why he lets you stay, because he feels bad for you? Jordan's face grimaces in horror. I imagine mine would pretty much reflect his, because the thought of that to me is truly horrific. I laughed sarcastically. No. Try because fate played a cruel game. And with that, I saw an opportunity to leave the kitchen as Jordan was away from the door. And I snuck out of the room and ran up the stairs to my room. What the fuck are you talking about? Jordan now mind links. I chose to ignore him, letting him think over my words. I was sure at some point he would work it out. I lay on my bed, needing some time to chill out. I will find some time to message the Alpha or Luna of Autumn Valley Pack tomorrow, I think. Thank them for their offer, but to let them know it just wasn't the right time for me. Their pack was truly beautiful, but I had other priorities. I just hoped Harley could fix the things he said he would, because I truly loved the prospect of him, and I building a future together far from here. I had stuff to deal with today, Bailey, and now my brain is fucking fried. Tell me you are not saying Miles is your fucking fated mate? Jordan suddenly mind links, and from the tone alone he is far from impressed. Oh dear, I wonder how Miles will cope with that now. I hear my sister footsteps pounding up the stairs. Evidently, she does not want to talk. And quite honestly, I have not got the energy to chase her. I wasn't expecting to see her home. I was here to gather some things together so I could travel over to my fated mate's pack, spend some time with her while she gathered her things together to come and move here with me. My fated mate. Seriously, meeting her for the first time today was like the ground had slipped out from under me. Like time had stopped. You hear tales of what meeting your fated mate was meant to be like, but meeting Gia was everything they described and more. Her eyes sparkled like precious gems, and damn, I thought my heart would beat right out of my chest. Don't even get me started on the sparks from her touch. My wolf, Rory, was going crazy the moment we caught her scent. He was ready to scoop her up and take her home, mark her and mate her there and then. We had been waiting for our fated mate for what seemed like eternity, and now to have her here felt truly amazing. I wanted to have her home with me as soon as I could, so I had suggested that she return with her family to her pack, gather her things, and I would come and stay with her for a few days in her pack, allow us to get to know one another, and then return to her new home, my pack, as mates. That was why I had been home in the middle of the day. Or else I wouldn't have been home when Miles had been mind-linking, shouting his mouth off, for the goddess knows how many times today alone, about my sister. She seemed to be a constant source of irritation for him, which meant she became a constant source of irritation for me. Bailey had never been normal. She wasn't like the rest of the girls in school. She forever had her head in a book, or was always studying. It was humiliating having a younger sister that knew more than you. Not to mention embarrassing that she didn't take much pride in her appearance, like so many of the she-wolves within our pack. She was just not normal. I mean, she was never ugly. She had gained our mum's curls and big brown eyes. She would always be considered pretty, even with those ridiculous glasses she used to wear. But she wasn't bothered about the recent fashion trends like most of the girls, which drew attention to her, making her a source of amusement for many, and a source of embarrassment for me. I hated that she was my sister. Once we reached our mid-teens, Miles seemed to start hating her, forever complaining about her, picking on her. It became almost fun to torment her. She never cried, so it wasn't like it was bullying. She was tougher than she looked, Bailey. I mean, in her late teens, soon after I shifted, I had heard her suffering badly with nightmares. She was screaming at night, but never once did she speak to anyone about them or go to anyone for help. So, I think she was just more resilient than most, able to take whatever was thrown at her. I don't think it ever really bothered her. If it had, she would surely just have stopped the reading and tried harder to fit in, and she never had. Her attitude had grown since she came back from university. More confident. More clever too, no doubt. I was proud of her, of course I was. Not that I would ever tell her that. She has caused so much drama over the years, and continues to do so even now. All this shit over her finding a job made no sense to me. If she wanted a job outside of the pack, when at present we had no role in our pack for her, then I didn't really see the issue. But Miles said she asked not to leave the pack. Yet she said Miles would not allow her to leave. It made no sense. Why would she apply for jobs if she didn't want them? Miles had told me so many times Bailey had a crush on him, even that she had made a move on him at his birthday party, when he had first shifted. When she followed him outside, I couldn't imagine Bailey wanting someone like Miles. But then the tension between the two of them, it all added up, so I believed him. But then, her almost laughing at it when I suggested it made me question it all. And now she is saying fate played a cruel game. Fate? What the fuck is she meaning? She is right though, if what she is saying is the truth, and Miles has been stopping her working out of the pack, then there has to be some reason as to why. It made no sense. My brain was fried. He hated her. I was sure of it. So why would you keep someone you hated so close to you? Unless you didn't actually hate them, did Miles actually like my sister? UW. Fate playing a cruel game? What cruel game would fate play with two people that seemingly hate one another? Then a realization hit me. Tell me you are not saying Miles is your fucking fated mate? I mind-link my sister quickly, my hands trembling in shock. That can't be true, can it? I am met by silence. Is she choosing to ignore me? Bailey, I swear you will answer me, or I ask Miles. I tried again, knowing she likely would not want me speaking to him about this. I hear soft footsteps on the stairs again, and I step from the lounge where I had been sitting, and my gaze meets her tear-stained eyes. I'm right, aren't I? I question. She shakes her head. What? So why the fuck is she crying? Did she want him as a mate? Had he been right all along, and she had been in love with him? He rejected me. So, no, I am not his mate anymore, she whispers, her voice barely audible, and I feel a pulse of anger through my body. He may be my best friend, but this is still my sister. Rejection is one of the cruelest things you can do to a werewolf. When? I demanded. The year after he first shifted, she says with so little feeling, like she had become accustomed to all of this now. Why did we not know? He did not want anyone to know, and that hasn't changed. I just get sick of being made to look like I am in the wrong, she says, sitting herself down on the bottom step of the stairway. Bailey, he is the alpha. He should not have rejected his fated mate. That isn't what they expect of him. I tell her, knowing what the pack traditions are here, and she nods. She knows all this, but she has clearly had no say in any of this either. Is that why he won't let you leave? I question, unsure why that would affect anything. He had rejected her. She should be free to go out and live her life now. He made the choice to kick her to the curb. I don't know. He won't give me an answer. Did you get this new job? She nods, but he told me not to take it. I shook my head in irritation. What gives him the right to keep her here like a fucking prisoner? No wonder she has held so much resentment toward him over the years. I just thought she was being a moody teenager, and after that, a hormonal woman. But this fool had turned down his fated mate, the woman the moon goddess had selected for him, hurting her in the process an unbelievable amount. I can only imagine the pain she had been through. Knowing now, having experienced it myself, the draw to my mate, I can't imagine ever rejecting her, or the pain of not being with her. So the thought that Miles has done that to my own sister infuriates me. Not only that, all the nights we would go out to bars and clubs, he would pick up women, sleep with them. Plus, he had dated multiple women over the years. She must have felt the pains of him cheating. Another sudden thought hit me. The nightmares. The screams. They weren't nightmares at all. They were Bailey in agony at Miles cheating while he and her were still mates, before he had rejected her. No wonder she had never come to any of us. How could we have been so blind? Mom and Dad sleep like the dead, so I doubt they would have heard her. But how had I not known something was wrong? Bailey, why didn't you tell us? I dropped down to my knees in front of her. Think about it, Jordan. Who were you going to believe? He told Harley today, who happened to overhear an argument that I had imagined the mat bond. That it wasn't even there, she says to me in exasperation. I have been nothing but an inconvenience. I feel like crap hearing this. I have failed my sister here, and I know I have. Though never in my wildest imagination would I have thought my sister would be fated to my best friend. It seemed like such an unlikely pairing. But no matter what, she had felt unable to come to us for help, and that meant she felt trapped by the whole situation. Look, I am sorry. I fucked up. Let me make it up to you? I met my mate today, so I'm going to visit her pack for a few days, and then I will be home. We will speak properly about all of this then, yeah? But please speak to Dad, he needs to know. You met your mate? Her gaze meets mine, a soft smile on her face, and I can see she hasn't got the energy for any of this anymore. I nod. Yeah, she was visiting with some warriors. Her name is Gia. She will love you, I am sure. That was why you were home. You were getting sorted to go? She asks, like she suddenly knew why I was at home, and I nodded in agreement. Well, get your things together and get to your mate. You don't want to keep a girl waiting. Especially not your mate. This shit with me isn't going to be going anywhere. It has been here for years. It will still be here when you get home. I smiled, pulling her to me in a big hug. I am sorry, Bailey. I wish I had known. And those words are ones I have never meant more in my life. Because I cannot believe how my best friend has treated my sister. I was taken aback by my brother. That was not how he normally acted. Could him meeting his mate have changed him? As happy as I am for him that he has met his fated mate, his sympathy and kind thoughts all feel a little too late. He had been acting like I was some sort of social pariah for years. Like I was something to avoid, like the plague, all because I preferred to read rather than hang out by the football field cheering for them. All because I preferred something different. I never intended to embarrass my brother or my family by being the way I was. I just wanted to do well in life. I wasn't aware that it was such a crime, yet the way my brother and sister had spoken over the years, you would think it was first-degree murder I had committed. But I guess I should be grateful now he was showing some remorse. Maybe it was a sign he was growing up? The worrying thing was, what would happen when he confronted Miles? Because that was bound to happen. And I doubted that it would go down well when Miles discovered that I had shared this with yet another person. Especially one so close to him, one that he held in high regard. He would hate to lose the respect of my brother. My brother was meant to be the next beta. Jordan, can you not say anything to Miles about this, please? I mind-link him before he leaves the pack. He had only just set off, so he still had to be on the Packlands by now. I will need to speak with him at some point about it all. And Dad. Likely his dad, too. He broke the rules by... Not to mention treating you terribly, he replies. That may be the case, but as I see it, it is in the past now. I tried hard to dismiss it, so focused on the future that Harley had promised me. I don't want that to be put at risk. The things Harley had spoken of had given me a chance of an escape from Miles. From this pack. From everything I had struggled with for years. Harley respected me for who I was. I could be me around him, and he liked me for that. I could not put that on the line. It will never be in the past. It needs facing up to. Jordan's tone through the link was terse. I just want to be able to move on. Have a future. He won't let me have that. I explained well, maybe you should take that job without telling him. Leave without telling him. Let Dad deal with the aftermath. Jordan suggests, and I am shocked that he would even suggest it. He is telling me to go against the orders of the upcoming Alpha. Everything he had previously been telling me not to do. Something had definitely changed in my brother. This was so strange. That is disobeying a direct order. Jord, I link, my hands trembling, and the thought of what could even happen. Yeah, but I, as future beta, am giving you an order. And I imagine when you tell Dad all of this, he will tell you the same. They are orders to follow. He broke the rules, bae. You need to do what is right for you for a change. I hate that you were hurting for so long and never said a word. Don't think of anyone else now. Think of you, right? You worked hard for that degree. Everything you dreamed of, so go do the job you worked your ass off for. Don't let him ruin that. I can hear Jordan's determination through the link, and I find myself smiling. I will think about it. No, not thinking. Doing. Talk to Dad, please. I will call when I arrive at Gia's pack to make sure you do. Okay? I am not letting this go now, bye. I failed you before. I won't do it again. You haven't got a mate to have your back, so you need us to have your back instead, more than ever now. We haven't had it properly so far, and we should have. Time we made up for it. Jordan Lynx. I take in all the things he says, and I wonder if he is right. Maybe I do need to put myself first. Could I actually do that? Tell your mate I said hi. I told him with a smile. And tell her good luck, she will need it with you for a mate. I hear him laugh through the link. I sure will, sis, and I will speak soon. Do not let him bring you down. He obviously never deserved you in the first place. The link cuts out, telling me he is either out of the area now or he is ending the link. I guess I should go and find my dad and start to explain this mess to him. I put my sneakers back on when I receive a mind link. Bailey? A voice I do not recognize comes through the link, completely confusing me. Who would be mind linking me? Hello? I responded, a little uncertainly. This is Ruth, Harley's mom. I am sorry to link, but I have heard a lot about you lately, and know you and Harley have spent some time together. So I thought I should let you know he is in the Pack Hospital. He has been attacked. He has some serious injuries and is currently in surgery. My heart feels like it is shattering at the link as the words she tells me sink in. What happened? I almost sob through the link, though I have a sinking feeling I may already know. We don't know. They believe it could be a rogue attack. He was found in the forest, so lucky to be found as he was losing so much blood. Harley's mom links, her voice trembling even through MindLink, as I run down the stairs of my house, ready to head to the hospital. All thoughts of speaking to my dad were put to the back of my mind. I need to go and see Harley, see if he will be okay. For if my thoughts were right, he was likely not meant to survive. My mind had been distracted all of the day. After seeing Bailey, I had gone to the gym and took my anger out on the punch bags. But it had not done what I had needed, not like it usually did. My wolf, Jet, enraged at the sense of distrust from one of his own pack, needed to be allowed out. He needed the freedom of space and time to run. He enjoyed the thrill of hunting and taking his anger out on some innocent small prey, making them suffer because of his wrath. And today was worse than normal. This warrior boy had truly gotten under both of our skin. I was the next leader, yet that fool was questioning me and my words. He was questioning the things I was saying. Bailey was a nobody. She had always been, yet some small-time warrior was taking her word over the words of his next alpha? The moment I had left the gym, I had headed for the tree line and stripped myself of my clothes, placing them into some broken bark, ready to retrieve them when my anger had subsided enough. Though I doubted small prey would be enough today. The thing I wanted to destroy most was the face of that pretty boy warrior. But I knew that I had to control that violent streak within me. As the upcoming alpha, I could not be seen to be hurting my own pack members. Or at least, not without a decent reason. I may just have to find myself conveniently paired with him in the next pack training session. Warrior or not, he and his wolf would stand no chance against me and my alpha wolf. And I would enjoy every second of destroying the irritating little fucker, and thankfully nobody would question it. Perfect. The resentment swelled through every pore of my body and every part of my wolf's being too, as my bones snapped and twisted, cracking and dislocating through the now swift and smooth shifting process of turning into my aggressive wolf form. And oh, today was he aggressive. The connection we shared was boiling with rage. It was bad enough that Harley thought he could answer me back, but to think he could go to my father, bring my whole reign into question, was something else entirely. He would live to regret that threat. I would make sure of it. Jet's feet pounded the floor of the forest at a speed so swift as the breeze caught his gray fur while he dodged between trees and undergrowth. His eyes darted back and forth, searching for the sight of any prey he could punish, anything to take his anger out on. I allowed myself to fall back within his mind to give him the freedom he was craving to run and hunt. I sadly would find no freedom from the many thoughts weighing down my mind. Bailey had been a burden upon my life and mind since the moment I had realized what she was to me. I have since had to witness my own younger brother, and now my best friend, meet their fated mates and see their joy. Both blessed with fated mates worthy of the men they were. Yet I was given some pathetic excuse of a she-wolf. Seeing both Ellis and now Jordan with their mates only made me hate Bailey more. I had been brought up as the upcoming alpha, always given the things I wanted in life. That was how my parents had been. Some would call that spoiled, but to my parents, it was just preparation for what would happen when I became alpha. As alpha, I would have all the things I wanted. I would be at the top of the pack and nobody would argue with me. I would be denied nothing. So, I was used to having everything I wanted. And I wanted the most beautiful of mates. One to show off. One to be proud of and one that my friends would look at and be jealous of. So, when the time came, I expected the moon goddess to deliver. I expected a perfect fated mate. Not some geeky girl that nobody would look twice at. But no, the moon goddess fucked up and sent me that fuck up. Bailey, the fucking know-it-all. Well, she didn't know that day that she would have the hardest kick to the gut when she was told I was her mate. And that I would never want her, did she? No. She clearly isn't all that smart. Her face was a fucking picture that day. And I made her wait, too. Wait for the rejection. Knowing it was coming, but never sure when. Always knowing she was never good enough. And I certainly made sure she suffered. When the fuck were you going to tell me? I suddenly got a mind link from Jordan, completely taking me by surprise. Was he not meant to be heading to his mate's pack for a few days? I am sure we had given him permission to take time away. What are you talking about, bro? I responded, wondering if he mind-linked the wrong person you. Rejecting my sister. His words are cold and hold some venom, even through the link. But regardless of that, I want to know how the hell my best friend suddenly seems to know about this now too. Had that fucking warrior gone mouthing off? What? I question, hoping to be able to avoid the subject. Where did you hear that do not bullshit me, Miles? Bailey told me everything, you sick fuck. You hurt her. Not to mention you broke pack rules. He snarls at me through the link, only making me even more angry, and I can hear Jet snarling too, though I think that may be at the small rabbit he is now pouncing on. So, it was Bailey shooting her mouth off again? Seemed the little bitch had decided that this was no longer our secret? Well, she would live to regret that decision. I would ensure of that. I would not have this put at my feet. Oh no. This would all be her fault. Since when do you care if your sister is hurt? I asked him with a nasty laugh. Jordan had always been one of the first to pick on his sister alongside me. Had always had fun teasing her, though she made it easy being such a nerd. There are limits, Miles. And you know it. He snaps, and I begin to question if my friend is going to be as trustworthy as I thought he was. You want to watch who you are talking to like that, Jordan. You need to remember, breaking the rules or not, without me as alpha, you would lose your place as beta. So, before you go running to daddy, or go running to my dad, think of the consequences for you too. Is protecting Bailey really worth losing everything you have trained for? She is not worth that. She is worthless. I snarled, not liking to threaten my friend, but knowing I had no other option, he needed bringing into line. Are you threatening me? He demanded. Were you not going to your mate's pack? I asked, ignoring his question. I am heading out of pack now, but could not leave without confronting you. Not after this. Well, I suggest you run along. Take some time with your mate, and take some time to think if your sister is really worth losing everything over. Because without me as alpha, you will not be a beta. So that means a nobody in the pack, Jordan. Think carefully. And with that, I cut the link, blocking him from contacting me further. If he contacts my father, then I will make him pay. I pushed forward now, needing to shift back. Jet will have to make do with the small amount of time he has had to run. Time up for today. I slowed him as he slows his pace slightly. I sense his disappointment through our bond, but he does as he is told and turns back toward where we began, so I can gather my clothes. Jordan not happy. He tells me, I know. He will see sense. He wants his title more than he cares for her. I reassured my wolf, knowing my friend. He has worked hard to prepare to gain the title of beta that his father currently holds. Hell, he was still trying to prove to his dad he was worthy of the title. He would not be willing to give that up without a fight, especially not for something as pathetic as Bailey. Jet suddenly slowed, sticking his nose in the air like he smelt something good. Then he let out a small growl, deep but angry. Warrior boy, he was soon off running toward the edge of the tree line. I rushed through the hospital doors, my heart racing, my mind full of worry for the man I had begun to grow some sort of affection for. My eyes settled on one of the pack doctors, and I smiled politely, hoping they could help me. Hi, is Harley here? I asked. The warrior that was brought in? He asked me, and I nodded, fearful he was about to tell me the worst. Second floor, though, I think he is still in the theater, but his parents are there. Is he okay? I asked. I can't share any information, I am afraid. But I'm sure if you speak with his parents, they may be able to update you. The doctor nodded toward me before walking further along the corridor. I assumed in doing so, he was telling me he was done talking to me. So, I turned around and made my way to the stairs and tried to gather some composure to talk to Harley's parents. I don't even think I know them. I mean, yes, we are all from the same pack, but it doesn't mean I pay attention to every family here. At social events, I did all I could to avoid people. Bailey? A shaky voice greeted me the moment I walked through the doors at the top of the stairs. I looked up to be greeted by a tall, dark-haired man, his features so similar to Harley's. There was no denying he was his father. I smiled. Hi. Thanks for coming, sweetheart. A smaller, dark-haired woman spoke as she stood from her seat at the edge of the corridor. Her face looked understandably drained. I cannot imagine the emotions she must be experiencing right now with her son in there. There is still no word from the theater. My heart dropped at her words. I hoped he would be out of surgery by now. Though, why his parents would have been out in the corridor if that was the case, I don't know. I just hoped that they might know even a little something. Know that he would be okay. The weight is killing me, so I can't begin to imagine what it must be doing to them. What happened? Do they know? I didn't know there had been any rogue alerts, I said quietly. Harley's dad raised his brows towards his mate and nodded at me. No, me either. That is what makes no sense to me. But that is what the Alpha Boys said when they found him in the forest whilst on a run. The thudding of my heart must have been loud enough to hear, and I swear it became 10 times louder at the mention of the Davenport sons. The sons of our Alpha. Was this him saying Miles and Ellis found him? Both of them? They worked together to attack him. I would not put attacking Harley past Miles. In fact, my suspicion had been that it was likely that that was what had happened. He had seemed irate earlier when we were all together, though I had assumed his anger had been more directed at me as usual. Perhaps I had misread it, and he was just as furious with Harley, or something else had occurred that I was unaware of. But I thought better of Ellis. My mind once again drifted over the possibilities. No, I can't believe he would do that. Surely not. Miles and Ellis found him? I stuttered, my voice more than a little shaky. It was a good thing, too. Or else he could have died out there, Harley's mum tells me, and I can see the relief on her face. I wouldn't wonder if that was the plan. His injuries were so severe his wolf was struggling to heal him. Ellis rushed him here, Harley's dad told me, And this was beginning to make a little more sense now. Was it that they had tried to teach Harley a lesson and Miles had taken it too far? Whatever it was, it seemed Ellis had been the reason he was still alive right now. Because I have no doubt in my mind that Miles would not have brought him here for help if it had been left to him. I feel anger flowing through me, but try hard to look as calm as I can for the sake of Harley's parents. They do not need to know the things going through my mind. They do not need to question if the person they believe played a part in saving their son may, in fact, be the real reason he was in fact laid her to begin with. I have had a block on mind links to Miles all day, but I am so tempted to unblock him, to demand answers about what he had done to my friend. Just as I am about to, a door to the left of where we were standing opens and a doctor in scrubs walks out. He looks to Harley's parents with a concerned expression, and a sense of unease passes over me. He is gone, isn't he? Harley has had his life snatched away from him all because he was friends with me. I feel tears prickling in my eyes, while I see the doctor move a little closer to Harley's parents. It feels like time has slowed down, like it is moving in slow motion. A sense so horrendous I wish I could stop it. I feel sick. Why do things like this happen? I am pleased to say we have managed to control the bleeding both externally and internally. The next 24 hours will be critical, but I hope we have done enough. The doctor tells Harley's parents, and I see his mum sobbing, throwing herself into the arms of her mate. Relief etched across both of their faces. I hated that I was the cause of their pain. I imagined they would not want me here if they knew their son had been injured because of me. Because no matter how else I viewed this, Harley had been injured by Miles because of his connection to me. It had to be. Can we see him? Harley's mum asked. Of course, we have taken him up to a room in the ICU. The doctor tells them, and I smile at her. I will leave you to spend some time with him. I am glad he will be okay, I said, at barely a whisper. Oh no, Bailey, you must come and sit with him. He would be happier knowing you are there too, she tells me, reaching for my hand like she needs reassurance. I would feel bad if I didn't go now. So I smile and do the decent thing and follow the two of them into the room the doctor leads them to. It feels as though my breath has been knocked from my body as I see Harley's battered body laid within the hospital bed. His handsome face was now covered in bruises and deep cuts. Bandages adorn various parts of his body that could be seen above the blanket that lightly covered his body. He looked like he had been through a war, not attacked by a rogue. I heard Harley's mum gasp as she burst into tears, and I too had to fight the tears that were threatening. He did not deserve this. He looked broken. He may be a warrior, but an unsuspected attack, and one I believe came from an alpha. Oh, Harley. His mum was holding his hand, leaning over the bed as she sobbed, softly stroking his hair back from his head. What did they do to you, baby? Harley's dad stood quietly observing, his face a mask of bravery. He, too, a warrior, was likely used to seeing severe injuries. But I doubt nothing prepares you for seeing your own son bruised and broken, lying in a hospital bed close to death. Bailey, my dad suddenly mind-linked. Where are you at the hospital visiting Harley? He had been attacked. Why? I responded, feeling a little rude when Harley's parents were clearly struggling to see their son this way. Jordan just messaged while stopping for fuel, telling me to talk to you urgently. I am in my office if you want to drop by, he tells me. Or do you want to leave it? I looked to Harley lying in the hospital bed, the damage that I know Miles had to have played a part in, and see his parents barely keeping it together. I knew what I had to do. Okay, I responded. I am sorry. I am struggling right now, I explained to Harley's parents. And I think it is important you both have some time alone with your boy. So maybe it would be better for me to give you some space for a little bit. But do you mind if I come back a little later? I still want to spend time with Harley. Make sure he is okay. Let him know I am here for him. Of course, sweetheart. Harley's mom glanced up from next to his bed with a sad smile. He would appreciate that. I nodded and walked out of the room, knowing now I had something important to do. I just hoped that Jordan was right, and that my dad believed me. If not, I didn't know what I was going to do. But, one way or another, Miles needed to be made to pay for all the wrongs he had done. Office work was becoming repetitive for me today. But I had already done the pack training and been out for a run, so I had delayed my paperwork for as long as I think I possibly could. Poor Eden was suffering terribly now, with the later stages of pregnancy, so Caleb was having to tend to her a little more than we would have expected at this stage. So additional duties have fallen to me. Not that I minded particularly much, as it kept my mind busy. And, I have to admit, I found it somewhat amusing watching Eden give her mate holy hell for the slightest thing, because it seemed him making her pregnant meant he was somehow to blame, now for every little thing that inconvenienced her, or simply irritated her. And watching Caleb trying to steer his way around the ticking time bomb that was his mate and wife was like a comedy show in itself. But additional paperwork was such a drag. After so long, numbers began to blend into one another, and I am sure they began to move about the page too. And as for having to read, words began to switch and not make any sense, or they simply stopped sinking into my mind. It was usually at that point I knew I was done for, and that no work was happening. Coffee was the only thing fueling me, but even that was beginning to fail me. I stood away from my desk and walked to the coffee machine at the opposite side of my office, and glanced toward the window as I did. The sun was shining gloriously outside, telling me how lovely it would be to let Zion out for another run. I bet he would love that. A run through the trees, his fur with the breeze blowing through it as his feet pounded on the forest floor. Instead, I am holed up in my office, slowly losing my mind. Though I guess to lose my mind, I would have to be sane to start with. I sort myself a fresh coffee, and a strong one at that, before moving back toward my desk, just as my phone begins to ring. Who would be calling my office phone? Anyone in the pack would mind Link, right? And anyone else wanting me would call my mobile. Answer it and find out you thick fuckers, Zion chuckles, evidently thinking he is highly amusing. Emma, a top-class comedian, my wolf. I reach across the desk quickly before the call is cut off. Hello? Is that Autumn Valley Pack? A voice at the other end of the line says, making me wonder who the hell is calling us. Surely they had to know it was, or they wouldn't have called, would they? Yes, Beta Asher of Autumn Valley Pack talking. Can I help you? I answered, doing my best to bite back my sarcasm and state the obvious, and remain polite. Good. This is Alpha Miles of the Lotus Shadow Pack. Thanks for taking my call. Hope you are well. He greeted me, more cheerfully this time. Alpha Miles? I was almost certain their alpha was called Marshall. I know my mind was not at its best of late, but I am pretty sure I had not missed the death of one of the region's alphas. Is there something I can help you with, Alpha? I ask, suddenly suspicious as to why this guy was calling. My mind is racing until I remember that it is Alpha Marshall, but the upcoming alpha is called Miles. So I assume this could be the upcoming alpha I am talking to. Trying to play the big boy here, is he? Definitely all the more suspicious now. Oh, it is nothing of concern, Beta Asher. I am just helping my father with some paperwork. I am sure you know what it is like being snowed under with too much work. But he asked me to thank you for interviewing our Beta's daughter for a teacher's position in your pack recently, and from what I understand, offering her the role too. Miss West is a wonderful teacher, as I am sure you saw, and a well-respected member of our community. The voice at the other end of the phone says to me, making me wonder why he had called to thank us for giving this girl an interview. Did she not thank us herself? That was arranged between her father and our former alpha, I believe. Nothing to do with me, I said curtly, already not liking the fact the young upcoming alpha was trying to act like he was all important. Well, we wanted to know from one pack to another that it was appreciated. Always good to maintain pack relations, he says, with what I can only wonder is a fakeness to his tone. Something about this boy I do not like. I don't know what it is. And while the offer of employment is appreciated, especially by Bailey, as she had yet to have any offer of employment, we apologize but have to decline on the offer, I am afraid. I found myself frowning at his words. Nothing like insulting the poor girl. Everything I heard from both Caleb and especially Eden, she had given a good interview. And she was well qualified. Aiden loved the ideas she had and was excited at the prospect of bringing her into the pack for the benefits she could bring to the children here. Yet this fool was making her sound like she was barely capable of teaching and nobody would look at her for the role. But what intrigued me was they were refusing the job offer. Miss West does not want to work at our school? I questioned, becoming more suspicious of this character by the second. Something does not seem right about him. Even Zion is unsettled. If she did not want the role, then why even come for the interview to begin with? Why waste our time? Miss West has, been allocated a position in our own pack. So she is now unavailable for a position in the pack of any other alpha, he says. But this time I am certain there is some anger in his tone. Did this man not like the idea of one of his pack working for another alpha? Was he the sort of alpha that was controlling of his pack members? If so, that could spell trouble for the future when he comes into power. Well, wish Miss West all our best, and thank you for letting us know. Though I have to say I am a little surprised that Miss West herself has not informed us. That in itself is somewhat rude, I said bluntly. I hear a stutter at the end of the phone. Unsure if it was a laugh or a cough, possibly even a combination of the two. I am sure you are a beta. Are you not? Yet you appear to be questioning an alpha? He says, and suddenly Zion is rippling beneath my skin. Not liking the tone this imbecile seemed to be taking with me. Upcoming alpha or not, my wolf was ready to push forward. I do all I can to push back the threatening growl. An alpha? Is that so? Because if I'm not mistaken, you are an upcoming alpha, are you not, Mr. Davenport? I do believe it is your father that is still running your pack. Therefore, you are not the alpha just yet. So do not be getting ahead of yourself, I say coldly, not caring if I am stepping out of line. Let the smartass come and start something if he so wishes. I think I could enjoy a good fight. I'm sure I could give the little fucker a good ass whooping. It sounded like he had been short of a few of those growing up, considering the attitude seeping from him. Well, I know. That still makes me an alpha, he stutters awkwardly, evidently not happy to have been called out for his previous mistake of introducing himself by calling himself the alpha. And now talking down to me. Unfortunately for this spoiled little brat, I was past caring about pleasing people, especially ones that irritated me. So, I was more than happy to stand up to him. Not just yet, I said with a smirk. Was that all? If this is how you run your pack, then I can tell you, my pack member will most definitely not be coming to work for you, he says bluntly as he hangs up, like he thinks his words are going to affect me. Instead, I find them amusing. This guy sounds like a little boy who has grown up with the world at his feet. Everything having been handed to him, and he acts like the world owes him a living. The type of guy I cannot stand. Fucking heaven help us all when he becomes alpha. I stepped through the doors of the pack house. Harley had not left my mind since I left the hospital, but I knew I must focus my mind, ready to speak to my dad. I walked down the empty corridors, my stomach already churning at the conversation I knew lay ahead. I turned down the corridor to my left, which leads to where the offices are. Strangely, despite the time of day, there are very few people within the pack house. Just as I am walking down the corridor, my phone rings, and I quickly take it out of my pocket. "Hello," I answer quickly, not recognizing the number and suddenly panicking, thinking it could be something to do with Harley, despite the fact that, logically, I know anyone linked to Harley is within pack and would mind link me if they needed to contact me. "Bailey," the voice greeted me, and I realized immediately it sounded an awful lot like Luna Aiden. "Yes," I replied, beginning to wonder if it was in fact the Luna calling for a response on the job role. I thought they may have given me a little longer to think about the job offer if I am honest. "Hi, chick. It is Aiden. How are you doing?" She greeted me enthusiastically. "I have been better," I admitted without even thinking. "Oh, is everything okay?" she asks, suddenly sounding curious. "Anything I can help with?" I realized my mistake instantly and gave my head a quick shake as I sat myself on one of the window seats. "No. Sorry, ignore me. Just having a bad day." "Are you sure?" Luna Eden urges, like she's wanting me to confide in her. But I have no plan to be doing that. Especially not to someone out of our own pack. "Yeah, just a friend of mine isn't well," I said, hoping that would be enough to stop her asking more questions and making this conversation awkward. Okay. Was that the reason you decided against taking our job offer?" My nose wrinkles at her words as I scowl. Wait, I hadn't declined their offer yet. So why did she think I had decided against their job offer? "Sorry?" I question, a little puzzled by the implications. This made no sense. How had they come to that conclusion? Beta Asher received a phone call, telling him you had to decline the offer. She tells me, and within that moment I needed to hear no more. Miles, of course. Who else was it going to be? He had already made the decision for me before I could tell them any differently. He planned to keep me here as his prisoner for as long as he could. When he had told me I belonged to the pack, he meant it. The thing was, no matter how much I wanted the role of teacher away from here, and as nice as their pack was, and the things we had discussed sounding truly wonderful, I knew I would never be allowed to go. So, I am going to have to agree that what they had been told was correct, which makes me seem extremely unprofessional for not calling them myself. Oh, I apologize. I did not realize anyone was making a phone call on my behalf. I would have preferred to do that myself, I explained to her. But, yes, I suppose that is one of the reasons I made the decision to stay where I am for the time being. My life is a little complicated, to say the least. Unfortunately, Luna. Oh, are you sure you don't need help with something, Bailey? I may not be in your pack, but from one woman to another, I would not like to think you are struggling, she says, sounding a little concerned now, and I like to think we got on well when we met. I smiled at her words. Yes, I suppose we did get on quite well. Thank you, Luna. I appreciate your kind words. I loved your pack. I truly did, and I would have loved to accept your offer if I am honest, and I had hoped I could. But things are not as simple as I hoped, is all the information I gave her, though deep down I had already known I could not go. Miles would never allow me, which is why Harley and I came up with our own plan. But even that would be in doubt now. I heard her sigh. See, you make me worry more about you now. Is it your mate? That would be a reason to stay. That I understand. I laughed despite myself. I know I shouldn't have done, but I was unable to hold back the almost sarcastic laugh that slipped from my lips. My mate doesn't want me, I said, and then realized what I had just said. I heard a gasp at the other end of the phone. He rejected you, sweet girl. Luna Aiden sounded almost heartbroken for me. She was sweet, bless her. I am sorry I should not have said that. And it does not matter now. Things can't be changed. I just have to deal with the aftermath, so to speak, I suppose. I explained, and knew I needed to tread very carefully now, because my plan of not giving too much away was very close to being completely fucked, if not already having been messed up beyond repair. Bailey, look, I don't know what is going on with you, and I can only assume you feel you can't share it with me. But I will say if I can help, let me know. The job offer still stands. Even if we find another teacher, I would still find a job for you in our school. You are a brilliant teacher, and we would be lucky to have you. Your pack should see that. All you need is somebody to see your potential, and it is a shame nobody has before. But please, whatever is happening there, don't let it destroy you. Get help, even if that is me, Luna Eden says, and I feel my hands shaking at her words. Help? That would be a no. Especially from another pack. Though the job offer, I may keep them in mind for, if I was ever able to free myself of this hellhole. Thank you, I whispered, but then I noticed my dad stepping from his office, his head turning from side to side, looking up and down the corridor angrily, likely looking for me. I am sorry, Luna. I will have to go, but thank you again, I told her. Anytime, and remember where I am, and where that job is if you need it, she tells me with a chuckle. Bailey? My dad called, pacing down the corridor toward me, looking a little puzzled at why I was sitting on the window seat rather than in his office. Hey, Dad. Sorry, Luna Eden called me. Apparently, they had a phone call to let them know I would not be accepting their offer of a job. I told him, and I saw his face tighten in anger. What? He snapped. I nodded. Yeah. Miles called, I believe. And there begins the start of a very long and complicated story, which is what Jordan wanted me to talk to you about. So maybe we should head to your office and sort us a coffee and cookies too, if you have them, Dad. I began, already dreading every moment of this as I saw my dad's eyes narrow at the mention of the future alpha of our pack. I watched my dad as his fist flew toward the wall of his office, as he raged in anger. I had literally just told him a portion of the things that had happened. The main thing being that Miles had rejected me. Dad, please calm down, I begged him, knowing I could not risk my uncle, the alpha, hearing and coming in. I did not want all of this to get out. Not yet, anyway. We needed to decide what should be done. We needed to decide what was the safest thing to do. I think the safer thing for Harley, as hard as it is for me to admit, is for him to stay away from me. I hate that he got hurt because of me, but the more I think about it, the more I know that that is what happened. Once I had finished speaking to my dad, and before I went back to the hospital to see how Harley was, I planned to mind-link Miles to demand answers. Bailey, he rejected his mate. My dad snapped. That is not allowed for an alpha. He hurt you, Bailey, my little girl. He growls angrily, and again the irony hits me that he sounds suddenly protective when, for so long, he had been completely oblivious to the persistent jibes and bullying I had endured due to my studying, my geekiness, basically for not fitting in the way that was expected of me. I was the beta's daughter. I should have been beautiful, sporty, popular, much like my sister, Morgan, I guess. So, I suppose, 1 out of 2 daughters being a stereotypical beta daughter was something I suppose. My dad hadn't completely failed. He had just failed me, in that he had never been aware of the fact I was suffering so much, just as my mom had been ignorant of it too. Sometimes I couldn't help but wonder if they knew and chose to ignore it because it was easier than having to deal with it. I know he did, Dad, but it is done now, and in truth, I would not want him for a mate. He is nasty to me. He has done nothing but bully me for years, I told him, and my dad spun around to look at me, his face full of anger once more. I I don't think my plan of calming him down was going so well right now. Bullying you? He snarled. Fuck it. Akira snarls within my mind. He needs to know. I feel her rippling close to the surface. This whole situation is truly pushing her to the edge of her limits right now. Pushing harder so she was so close to shifting without crossing that limit. They all did. My voice snaps without me even planning to speak, but its tone is rougher, telling me Akira is in control right now. I was the source of ridicule for years. Jordan, Morgan, Miles, Ellis, half of the school. All because I liked to study. Because I didn't like to party. My dad's face fell at my words. Oh, he murmured. Akira seems to simmer back a little now, like she feels she has got what she needed off her chest, and she was happy for me to deal with the consequence. Dad, that is unimportant now. What is important is this stuff with Miles. He rejected me, but he won't let me leave. I believe he hurt Harley too. My dad's face contorted somewhere between a confused expression and an angry one. The warrior guy? He looked at me with his brows raised in question, and I nodded. Dad shook his head, like he wouldn't quite believe my words. Surely not. He is going to be the alpha one day, Bailey. Why would he be stupid enough to attack one of his own warriors? Because Harley and I have been seeing one another a little? And Harley discovered we were fated mates. And as I added those final few words, a look of realization crossed my dad's face. Is he okay? He demanded, and I could only shrug, tears filling my eyes. Didn't you say you were at the hospital with him? I don't know if he is okay. When I came here, they were still waiting for him to wake up. He was in theater. They said they thought it was a rogue attack. Ellis took him to the hospital. He said he and Miles found him in the forest. So badly injured, his wolf was struggling to heal him. I explained all that I knew, and I saw my dad chewing his lower lip, deep in thought. I suppose a rogue attack could be logical, Baal. He smiled sadly, and just as I was about to argue with him, he continued. But we would have had some form of intruder warning if they had crossed the border and there was none. I would have known about it. It makes no sense. It is too coincidental. He learns of the fated mates, and then suddenly he is attacked, and conveniently found by Miles and Ellis. But I thought Ellis would have known better. That is the part I can't work out. I told him. Maybe he caught him? My dad suggested. Why else would he bring the boy to the hospital? Because I can guarantee Miles would have left him to bleed out in the forest. And, deep down, I think my dad could be right. Bailey, you need to get out of here. You are not safe. No, he was never right for you. I have no clue what happened with that boy. But the moon goddess made an almighty fail with her mate bond between the two of you. He would be better fated to a lump of shit. About the same intelligence-wise, about as much heart and soul as a lump of shit. So a perfect match, right? He drops his head to his hands in frustration. What will happen, Dad? I questioned suddenly, unsure what would happen now. Miles was at risk of knowing everything that could be revealed now. Especially if Jordan had been in touch with him. He would be angry, I had told anyone. We need to have you leave the pack. So, I think we should contact Autumn Valley Pack and ask if that role is available after all. He tells me, but I begin. He shakes his head, a firm look of determination upon his face. No buts, Bailey. This needs to be done. I will deal with the mess here. And I mean deal with it. All of it. I will make sure that boy pays. For everything. My eyes widened at my dad's words. What about Harley? I think it may be best for him to relocate for a while too, once he is better. I will ensure the pack compensate him for his trouble, he says calmly, like he was already forming a plan within his mind. Though my dad was an excellent beta, he was experienced at forming plans and skilled at putting the plans and their details into action. Can I see him before I leave? I ask, and my dad smiles. Of course. I know you are fond of him, but I do think it would be for the best for you both to perhaps move on, Bailey. His attachment to you has put his life in danger. And in the coming weeks, the situation in the pack could be a little hazardous, to say the least. I will speak with his parents, I think, to see about him being removed to another pack for treatment, so he is not accessible to Miles. My dad is already flicking through a notebook upon his desk, like he is planning ahead. And you call Autumn Valley, ask about that job. Or do you want me to? I can explain the predicament if needs be, he says with a concerned smile. I will call Luna Aiden, I quickly told him, knowing she would have no issue with that, and definitely not wanting my dad telling everyone my business. Making me into a sob story. When should I ask to move? As soon as possible. Tomorrow if you can. The sooner you are away from here, the better. But we will wait until nighttime and leave. He is usually out between 11 and 4. Drinking, I assume. So we have a perfect time slot to make your escape unnoticed. My dad tells me with a smile, just as there was a knock at the door. We both turned around in shock as the door opened uninvited. I thought I saw you guys walking in here, Ellis said, quickly coming in and closing the door behind him as my heart rate rocketed. I think we need to talk,